And we are live. I'm going to give it a few minutes. And now we're live. So, hey, I tried to do the tech thing again. I wanted to do these cool transitions, and yeah, it messed that one up as well. So, but hey, it's a cool, crazy world we live in right now. I've got Tim Cochran from ACP, American Corporate Partners. We wanted to talk about mentorship. So, welcome, Tim.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, slight disclaimer for everybody. Working from home, my hair's growing a little long because I can't leave, and there is no guarantee my children do not come running through here at some point. But that's become acceptable in today's world, right?
That's for sure. That's for sure.
And but I'm guessing that's not a problem you're going to have, right, Tim?
No, I don't have to worry about it. My youngest is 21, Mike. So.
So hey, Tim. So I know you're up in New York City. Let you know that we're all praying for you guys up there. Hope you stay safe, and that we can navigate this safely. But can you share a little about your story? You were in the Marines, right?
Yep. So yeah, no, Mike, coming live from the epicenter of coronavirus. I mean, what it's doing in New York City is just incredible. So many families affected, and of course, over a 35-year career, first time working from home. So it's been pretty interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, so I joined ACP 3 years ago after over 30 years at the New York Stock Exchange. I got to the exchange right out of the Marine Corps back in the early 80s. Pretty blessed, right place, right time type of thing. The guy who ran technology there was a former Marine, and he felt if I could survive Parris Island, he could train me. My claim to fame before that was I was the mine detector repairman in Guam. So trust me, being involved in a mentorship program now that helps transition and veterans translate their skills. Nobody could have used this better than me because nobody was looking to hire a mine detector repairman in Lower Manhattan in 1985. And so winding up on 20 interviews I had no business being on, the chance to have had a mentor to help guide that process, I happened to be lucky enough to find the New York Stock Exchange. But the cool thing about that was, I got in there. I was a technician fixing the old ticker tape machines as guys were trading on the floor. And then I wound up transitioning. It's the old you don't know what you don't know, becoming a clerk and then on to being a broker and a member of the New York Stock Exchange and building an independent floor operation. So I went from technician to stockbroker. And who would ever dreamed it, right? Wow. And a lot of it is the right place, right time. But you have, one thing for sure. And this is one of the great things about ACP is that companies understand that we come out of the military with an incredible foundation. It's all the right things in order to build up an employee. You have all the basics and you have them strong. So, companies love the idea of being able to get veterans. A lot of the times, it's just trying to identify them and find them.
Yep. And so your break at the New York Stock Exchange, didn't you tell me it was a Marine?
Excuse me?
The guy that got you into the New York Stock
Exchange? So the guy who ran technology there was a Marine. I'll never forget my interview. I mean, I went in, friend of a friend type of thing, sat down in front of the guy, and he laid out a schematic in front of me. And he said, follow the signal from side to side. And I remember looking at it, and I'm sure he saw my face turn white. And I looked at it and I said, I'd never seen a schematic like this. He reached down, rolled it into a ball, tossed it, and said, look, if you could survive Parris Island, I could train you. And so that's the next, I became a floor technician.
Wow. So that was the first mentorship you received, right?
No doubt about it.
How did you meet him?
And it was just through a friend of mine, through the family type of thing. And then the neat thing about the New York Stock Exchange and that group, they only hired veterans and technicians out of like DeVry Academy. They only had like 1 or 2 schools that they hired them direct because the technology that you used on the floor of the exchange was only privy to the exchange. They actually built their own technology for the systems that they used.
Wow.
You didn't use it anywhere else. So they wanted guys like myself who they could care less what what systems you knew or what equipment you worked on. They were going to train you on their in-house stuff. So, and they knew that with the military background and guys right out of technical school, it was a perfect workforce for them.
So you were competing with guys coming right out of technical school with the exact degrees they were kind of looking for those jobs, for that specific job, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And would you have gotten it if you just applied online? I didn't have online back then, but if you just dropped off a resume or mailed in a resume, would you have gotten selected?
No way. It was all word of mouth type of thing. Just think about it. Remember the New York Stock Exchange, 80s into the 90s. You've been there. It was exploding, and what a place to work. I mean, there was 4,000 people squeezed into that trading floor that you saw. And I mean, it looks, huge today. When you see it on the television, it looks tremendous. Squeeze 4,000 people in there, but it was a great place for guys like myself from Brooklyn who went in the Marine Corps and came out. Really at that point, my qualifications was sanitation or NYPD. So I was blessed to be at the right place, right time.
And if you wanted to get a sale in or an order in, right, through those 4,000 people, you wanted a Marine, right?
That's the thing. All of a sudden, it was an ideal occupation for me to become a floor broker because it was, you learned how to use your elbows to work your way into a trading crowd and project your voice. I mean, one of the greatest things the Marine Corps taught me was how to call cadence. Because step into a crowd and everybody was like, look out for this guy, and that's the art of trade, and I was blessed to be able to learn I had great mentors. I had guys who taught me how to trade, put that together with my Marine Corps experience, and the New York Stock Exchange floor was the ideal place for me.
And it's crazy is I think there's so many similarities to my story where, you end up in a job where, maybe you don't look like the typical employee. You don't have the same qualifications, the same degree, but you met someone that saw talent and said, I can make that work. Like they're going to be a rock star for me. And that only happens when you have a mentor or when you have someone that's in the organization that can make those decisions. Am I right?
Absolutely.
So when we talk about American corporate partners, where did the story, how did you guys come about?
Well, ACP was founded by a gentleman named Sid Goodfriend. Sid happened to be the #1 relationship banker for Merrill Lynch. Happened to be walking towards the World Trade Center on September 11th when the second plane flew over his head. And like everybody else in America, was extremely affected by the events of that day. And from that point on, he was trying to figure out, other than running off and joining the Marines like myself, how do I do this? He and his wife, Amy Goodfriend, two super successful bankers, brokers in financial services, Amy being one of the first female partners at Goldman and equity partners at Goldman, and Sid being a #1 banker. What do we do? How do we give back? If you remember the surge in Iraq, as you do, 7 into 8, Sid couldn't get it out of his head that 20,000 men and women were going to be heading off to war. What were they going to do when they came back?
Yep.
And he knew for sure that just about every job he ever got, somebody opened the door for, right? Made that phone call, got him in front, just gave him that leg up. And so he felt that if you could go off and serve this nation, when you came back, while the rest of us were able to move along in life and 4 or 5, 6, 10 years, career experience, you're coming back and you're new to the game, even though you got great skills. So he came up with this brilliant idea that he was going to create a kind of like Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Only his big brothers and big sisters were going to be corporate types, everything from managers on up. And your little brother could be a 220-pound Marine. Put it together. He reaches out to Indra Nooyi, who was the chairwoman of Pepsi and a dear friend of his at the time, and said he wanted to create this program where as men and women transition out of the military, he paired them up with somebody from corporate America along their career path, right? We only focus on career. Somebody who might have 6, 8, 10 years experience in the career path of your choice, and they're with you for a year, an hour a month, like we say, 12 significant conversations, working on everything from your resume to your interview skills, what certifications you might need, how to use your GI Bill and make sure that you wind up with the right courses. I can't tell you how many guys, you and I here, we talk about it all the time, where a guy come out and he's got 4 of his life doesn't convert to a job, and it's not even about a job. We're talking meaningful careers. I mean, everything that ACP is focused on is a meaningful.
Oh, we're losing you. I think we lost Tim. Not great coverage up there in New York City right now. Obviously, a lot going on. But what Tim was talking about was how help them find the right direction, find meaningful careers. Hopefully, he'll dial back in a second. Let me send him a note real quick, and then I'll see if there's any questions. So I'm going to go back in and see if there's any questions. But I think what Tim was trying to say is that there's, how many people are there around there that are able to work with you one-on-one for an entire year, have significant conversations, mentorship, and help you find your next career. And a big part of that is also figuring out what you want to do, what education you receive, what certifications you should pursue. So I'm going to come over here and see what we have right now. If there's any great questions, and then we'll take it from there. And hopefully we'll get Tim back. All right, let's see. We've got... So I've got Joseph Miller saying, looking forward to how to find a good mentor. The first thing I would say is join ACP. There you go. Tim's coming back in.
That's a miracle.
There we go.
That is an absolute miracle that I was able to actually get back on.
I'm wondering if he's still talking. Hold on. Oh, there he goes. Can you hear me, Tim?
I can hear you great, Mike. Can you hear me?
You dropped out for a second.
No, and I actually had to go out and come back in, but it's a miracle that it actually worked.
I blamed it on technology. That was not my fault at the time. So, all right. So we're talking about these 12 significant conversations.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So that's what it's all about, right? Is being the program is virtual, more or less. We try to, the number one priority is to pair somebody up along with somebody in their career path. But so many of our veterans come to us and say, hey, look, Tim, I drove a truck in the Marine Corps or the Army or the Navy or whatever. I got a bachelor's degree in marketing, but I never worked a day in marketing. What does that even qualify me for? And where should I be looking? And that's the magic of ACP. Not only are you going to get a mentor from ACP, but you're going to get a staff member assigned to you. ACP has almost 50 staff that what we call operational assistants. So it's not like if you get a mentor and you call ACP, you go into some kind of, you get the next available operator. In our case, you're going to have somebody that's going to work with you to set goals, provide opportunities, might just work with you to ask the right questions. I mean, I love to say all our guys and gals are great communicators, and they are. But if they've never applied for a job, if they've never been out there asking questions, they don't know what questions to ask. And I'd love to say all our mentors know exactly what to ask of also. So to have a facilitator in the middle of each one of those pairs is ideal.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it was really cool having Eric Schlachter, my good friend to this day, as the guy that was facilitating my mentorship. He was reaching out to me, a couple times a month, just making sure that we were communicating, that, we were getting what we needed from the relationship on both sides. And so having that human being in there, just trying to keep an eye on things and make sure that we're getting what we both should be getting out of the relationship was incredibly important.
Look, if you're looking for a job, right? If you're looking for any job and you want to better your odds, why wouldn't you want somebody? If you're going to Raytheon, we have over 80 companies at ACP, yep. Right? And anybody who's I don't know Mike's technology here if you see it, but our website is acp-usa.org, acp-usa.org. So make sure you're going there and signing up. It's a simple process, and we'll talk about that. But you'll see that we have over 80 companies. If you want to go into aerospace, you want to go into financial services, no matter what you want, Major League Baseball is a partner of ACP. So no matter what career path you want to go into, don't you want to better your chances of getting that job? Because I don't care what your resume says. There is an art to getting through an interview.
Well, yeah. I mean, even beyond that, I mean, like, you could have a perfect resume, but so do 20 other people applying for that job.
Right.
And you know, especially for service members and veterans where not all of their experience translates exactly, it may feel perfect to you, but it may not resonate with the junior sourcing recruiter or the recruiter that's trying to figure out how to get down to 5 people to give to a hiring manager. Right. So there's so much benefit in having a person, a mentor, or a friend of a friend that can say, hey, take a look at this person. I want you to chat with this person. And once you get to that communication is when sometimes it just clicks and like, I want them on my team.
No doubt.
And I like to feel like we know that within a conversation or two. Right. So that's what I really love about what you guys do.
Well, we do it all the time, you and I, right? I mean, you'll tell me, hey, I'm trying to talk to this one. I'll be like, my friend Tommy has been there for 5 years. Hold on. And we call the guy up, get him on a thing. He calls down, finds out what the particulars are on a situation. That's the thing about jobs. You're going off of whatever you have as a draft of what that job you applied to. And now you have to come up with the ideas to think, what is that hiring manager looking for? Sometimes it's not in that sheet that you're looking for. And you're sitting there and you're going on. You feel so strong. I got this, right? I have all the answers. And the guy asks you a question and you're like, holy smoke. You know, that one I don't have. But if you had been networking prior to, and you had somebody, like we say, as a mentor or somebody in that career path, you know, you did a little legwork, you might know that question before it comes up in the hiring process, and you're ready to go with something. And that's when you really shine. That's when the hiring manager looks at you and says, holy smoke, I didn't even have to ask this guy, and he already covered it.
Mm-hmm. No,
you put the legs in to get it, meaningful work.
Right. No, absolutely. And a lot of times they're just pasting the job description that was used there for the person before them, right? So you miss the challenges in the organization, you miss the key things that they're looking for, and you don't get a chance to demonstrate that interpersonal connection or those additional soft skills because your hard skill resume doesn't make the cut. So when you have a mentor or someone that knows someone, then you just jump the pile of candidates and you get right to the interview, and that's your chance to shine.
Right.
You know,
and then what it comes down to too is tempering your expectations.
Well, yeah.
Look, I'd love to say, as we both know, I say it all the time. I wish every veteran was like this super patriot that went in the military because they want to gung ho and save America. How many of them are going in because it's the best option in town when they're getting out of school because they have no skills? Right. And now all of a sudden they come out, they got it. Over 60% of the men and women who apply to ACP have a bachelor's degree or higher.
Yeah.
40% don't. I'm one of them. Here's a kid who right place, right time, built a great business on Wall Street. Hell, I ran for Congress. I never got a bachelor's degree, But today, you send that resume without that BA on the bottom of it, nobody's looking at it. You might as well send it off into hyperspace, Indeed, or any of these other places. Now you got a mentor who you're trying to apply for something at Bristol Myers Squibb or Johnson & Johnson, and your mentor happens to be there. He's picking up the phone and saying, hey, listen, I got this gunnery sergeant, I got this E5, this E6, this E7, this O2, 3, 4, go on and on, who might not have, well, your O's all have them, but your E5, your E4, who did his 4 years, serious 0311, right? Grunt, coming out. somebody picks up the phone for that guy and says, hey, you got to take a look. This is a solid character.
Yep.
Commanded troops, managed the budget. This is somebody I'd love to have on my team. Now, all of a sudden, that BA it's still very important. Don't get me wrong. But you're going to get the interview. And that's where mentorship is ideal.
Yeah, you're not getting, if you're missing any of the criteria, the preferred criteria or required criteria on a job description when you apply online, you're probably not making it through to the next round. But if you meet a decision maker, or you know a decision maker, or know someone that knows a decision maker, and they make a phone call, then you're going to get to that. You're going to get that phone call. You're going to get that interview. You're going to get that opportunity to build that relationship, demonstrate why you're the right person for the fit for that job. And I think that's where mentorship is so important. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today without mentorship, and I know it's the same with you.
No doubt.
So when we talk about some of the companies that ACP has partnered with them, like how many do you have?
So I think we're over 85. Just in the last few months, we launched with Campbell's Soup. Yeah, Campbell's is great. I mean, you got a great CEO, a former Army guy, sees this opportunity to say, hey, because here's the thing. Look, these companies see this as a great way to identify talent on top of it. Yeah. And the other thing about community service for your look, in the last 20 years, your CEOs are changing, right? It's no longer the guy behind the mahogany door in the Brooks Brothers suit. Your CEO doesn't wear a tie today, and he's out there amongst the people, and he's looking for great ways to add talent to his people. They're involved in the CSR groups. You're trying to get your employees involved and working in social responsibility roles. Your CEOs are involved. They want to hear what's going on. And they love veterans. They see it as a great way. But here's the other thing, too. When you think about those companies, your average hiring managers never served. In fact, in ACP, our mentors, over 70% of our mentors never served in the military. And they see this as an incredible way to give back.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you how many of our companies want their hiring managers as mentors so that they can talk to veterans and get a better understanding of what the veteran brings to the table.
Ooh, I like that. So it's actually a great way for companies to kind of train their workforce to better understand veterans without saying, hey, take this class.
Exactly.
Ooh, exactly. No, I like that.
No, look, what better way to professionally and personally develop than to be working to help somebody out? I mean, you think about what's going on right now, right? Everybody's virtual right now. What a great way for a company to turn around and say, hey, I got 90% of my workforce working from home. I want to keep them engaged. I want them feeling good about the work we do. Why don't we pair them up with veterans and help them as they're transitioning it out into an America that may have a 30% unemployment rate?
Yeah.
You want to talk about making a difference in somebody's life. Be a mentor for a veteran who served the nation and then is looking just to take care of their spouse and a couple of kids. And our program is also open to spouses, active duty spouses. We just opened last year, and you were one of the catalysts. I mean, look, Sid has wanted, from the day I got there, he was talking about how do we expand this program to spouses. But I'll never forget our first conversation 3 years ago, and you were telling me about how many times you had moved. And I know my own Maria, who I'm married to over 30 years, but I couldn't imagine having to pick up our kids and go every couple of years. And then spouses, I mean, first of all, if you're a military spouse and you go for a job and they know that you're in the military, they're going to be like, wait a second, how long are you going to be here? So one, that's up against you. Two, you might have great skills that don't translate from state to state or country to country. And so you can't even utilize your licenses and your certifications and so on and so forth. There's some major issues for spouses. So they should be in here taking advantage of ACP also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's crazy, though. I think we're seeing a little bit of a shift in society. And I'm really hopeful that society will realize now all the things that veterans and military spouses have been training for are now things that are very valuable in today's world. So, when you talk about going out food shopping, right? So, my wife went out once a week ago to go out food shopping, and I'm like, hey, and she came back and she said, yeah, I'm not doing that again. And for me, it wasn't as big of a deal. I went this week. We go once a week to go out and get food, and we stay in our house. And I got gloves. I had long sleeves, long pants. I had some wipes that we had in the car, and it's like, I've been training for mop gear for my whole career. You
Right.
go in, you contaminate, you come out, you take your stuff off, you wipe everything down, and that's it. So I had it felt like, honestly, I tell people it felt like I was driving off base in Iraq. Everything, I was hyper aware when I was in the store. Nobody's around me. Within 6 feet, I made eye contact. If they looked like they were going to get in,
Right.
it literally felt like that. And so all of these changes, I feel like we are better prepared to deal with them as a whole. I mean, you talk about military spouses. I saw a great post by Rebecca Sanderlin, I think it was. It's like, you're unsure of where things are going to go. Your family's, at risk of dying.
Right.
You're trying to hold your family together at home and work a job. Welcome to the life of a military spouse. I'm available for coaching. But I mean, these are things. There's a benefit to that. And when you talk about the healthcare industry, when you talk about IT, when you talk about just any of these major companies that still have to operate, like, I feel like you want veterans now. Like, they're going to show up, right? They're just going to make sure that they follow the safety procedures to do it right. Am I right on that?
You're 100%. You're 100%. They get it. You know, uh, they just get it. They understand what you do, and that's one of the things that I tell. I do 2 or 3 presentations a week to
Yep.
bases, and I'm telling them, look, you have everything that they're already looking for. It's just being able. What they don't understand is, and we go through resumes, right? Some guy will show up with a 5-page resume, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, it's nothing but nomenclatures and designations on it that just your average hiring guy's got 8 seconds or some damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
They just can't get through it. But you might have been working on a piece of equipment for 10 years, as an avionics tech, and all is that piece of gear, and all it has a name. It's an Amazon 2 or some damn thing out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You could go on and talk about it, but the hiring manager is only looking for somebody for the hiring. They don't meet when it comes down to the language. And that's where, the mentor is going to be able to sit there and say, wait a second, do you know what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Knucklehead, this is what it is.
I will tell you, looking at resumes makes me hurt. I mean, it hurts to look at resumes. No matter how awesome they are, when it's that transitioning service member sending me a resume, I look at it and I'm like, oh, there's like proven leader with a demonstrated history of whatever. And I'm like, well, that's not what you're applying for here. Like, that's not what these jobs are or whatever. So you're right. Having that perspective makes a difference. I remember I went to a job interview. I've shared this story a few times, but I went to a job interview. My last job in the Army, I ran operations for 17,000 people in 45 countries, right? And I went and applied for a job that had 11,000 people. And I had the VP of HR, one of the 6 people that interviewed me at an on-site, and she comes and looks at my resume and goes, this doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, it says here, you lead 17,000 people in 45 countries. I said, yeah. She goes, we only have 11,000 in this company. And she's like, and you're applying for a program manager role? And I'm like, yeah, well, she's like, it just didn't make sense.
Right.
So, having somebody, and ultimately I figured out how to make sense, but it came from having those conversations, those mentors, to really help me dial it in. And I will share, I'm not just an advocate for ACP, I'm also an alum. And my mentor, she was HR for Novartis, change management for Cisco, and never served. So it was incredible to have that person that when I said something that didn't make sense, she was like, hold on. That doesn't make any sense to me. And to me, it made perfect sense. And to my veteran buddies, it made perfect sense.
Right.
But to her, she was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, or that doesn't work in the framework of my experience. So I mean, it's fantastic. We've been talking about how great it is for a while. Every service member should be taking advantage of it. I'm a true believer. Every military spouse that's looking to grow a career, not just find a job, should be taking advantage of it, because the relationship doesn't end at 12 months. if you truly build a relationship. So, how does the application process work?
It honestly, it is one of the easiest things. So mentors can come in as through the Citizens Program if they're not associated with our corporate partners. And so they can apply or reach out to one of the staff and they'll take them through this situation if they're not. But if they are a corporate partner, they just can get the code from their HR rep and come right into the program. For the veteran, which is the key here, it is the simplest thing. First of all, there's no cost, right?
Right.
You go to our website, acp-usa.org. You're going to see a little red tab there that says Veteran Apply. You hit that up. You throw in your email. You fill out the application. Don't worry about getting in depth in it, and giving me paragraphs and paragraphs. Because here's the thing. From the second that you hit the send button on that thing, within 24 hours, somebody from ACP is going to reach out to you, right? This isn't going out into hyperspace or some algorithm. You're going to get a staff member who reaches out to you at your leisure. They're going to set up a 15-minute call with you to really get in depth in what you're looking for. And like I said, you might want to, you're separating from down in Florida and Jacksonville, but you're going home to Memphis, Tennessee. You want a job in healthcare. You want a job in whatever. You can identify a certain company that you're hoping to get. All that'll come out in that interview. From that point on, they'll start pencil pairing you, as we call it, right? This information, we have almost 50 staff at ACP that are going to be talking back and forth. They take all that data and they're going to pair you up with somebody. And to be honest, it's a little selfish on our part for the simple fact that we only ask companies to do this for a year.
Right.
Right. Our mentors come on board for 1 year. We need our mentors, to be honest, to have as good an experience as the protege. And here's the rub. 99% of the mentors last year said they were glad that their company participated and they would recommend somebody else and they want to do it again. I mean, this is a great opportunity. Mentors love giving back. And because, look, there's no onus on them to get you a job or anything. All they have to do is to be there as a sounding board and help guide the process. Right? So, like I said, you might want to be at HR at Home Depot. Boom. We'll try our best to get you a Home Depot, but we're going to get you an HR professional that best fits your whole criteria. Right? Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. And our staff have been doing this. We have over 17,000 men and women in less than 10 years have gone through this and said it's changed their life, Mike. Over 17,000. And that's, we're looking for a meaningful experience. Even if you got a job, you should be taking advantage of this, because the fact is that if you're out 2 or 3 years, maybe you're looking to make a lateral move, or maybe you just want to better get along at what you're doing and move up through the ranks. I had a senior guy just the other day who left a big position, and he said, I just didn't have the network within the company to follow that route. And he said, I just didn't think I was going to get through. So part of having a mentor is them not only helping you if you're looking for a job to find the right career, right? Everything, help you to pick the right job, and then help you negotiate salary, help be there at month 8 when the crap starts hitting the fan because you're having a rough time acclimating. They're there for you, so on and so forth. Like I said, it could take a day depending on what you're looking for a mentor, or it could take us a few weeks because you are more into your, like I said, exactly what you're looking for, and we're going to do our best to make sure. Look, nothing's perfect, right? We have super success. You've seen the go to our website and look at metrics. It'll blow you away.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm a huge fan, and I really do agree. That was a critical point. Just because you found your first job doesn't mean you found your career. And having a mentor in that career path, even if they're at a different company, not only can it be there to help you navigate your current job, they could be there where if you decide it's time to change, or could open up other doors down the road. So I see so many service members, or now I guess veterans, that they get out, they get their first job, and then they drop off the net. Like they were right into networking, network. and then they get a job and they just stop. And then 6, 7, 8 months later, they're back on the net and they're like, I need a job. Like, hey, LinkedIn, I'm back. And I'm like, why did you leave? Right? You know, it's so important to keep your network going, and having that personal connection is huge.
Yeah. No, we hear it all the time. I mean, like this, I just had a guy, you know, we have thousands of men and women coming to us. So I see it all day, every day. A chief petty officer in the Navy who was healthcare in the Navy, just got an IT job, and his mentor helped guide him down that. Sometimes you don't know. Look, here's a classic example. I talked to the head of corrosion experts in America, right? I didn't even know there was an organization like that. Corrosion experts.
What is it? For bridges and stuff?
What the heck? No equipment. He said to me, if you could get me every tank commander you ever got, he said, I could get him hired tomorrow. He said, and what tank commander thinks they are a corrosion expert? But their thinking is if you can drive a tank in the Persian Gulf, in the desert, in 150-degree heat, with sand and everything else, and keep that sucker running and keeping all your staff alive, that's the guy I want. That guy knows more about corrosion and maintenance than anybody coming out of any school in America.
Yep.
What tank commander thinks he's going into a corrosion expert job?
Yeah.
And that's really the joy of having a mentor who can help you identify things you don't even know you have the capability of doing. Take it from the old technician who became a stockbroker.
I love it. That's a fantastic story. So, and then the last thing I would say is, what about AdvisorNet?
AdvisorNet's incredible too, right? So General Petraeus showed up a few years back, number of years back, and said to Sid, this is an incredible program. You know, what an impact it's having on the men and women. At that time, maybe we had a couple of thousand people who had gone through the program. But what about the other 200,000 plus? Mm-hmm. So Sid reached out to IBM and they built ACP AdvisorNet. So when you go to our website, acp-usa.org, you can look up on the right-hand corner. You'll see where it says AdvisorNet. You can click on that. That's kind of like a LinkedIn to the military. There are tens of thousands of advisors and veterans on there that all you have to do is, so say you leave small town Tennessee and you go off to the military, and now you're about a year out and you're thinking, I would love to go back home. But hell, when I left, there was nothing, unemployment, there was no jobs, nothing. Little did you know that right down that little dirt road there, that was that building that used to throw a Spalding. Do they have Spaldings in Tennessee? Or am I just a Brooklyn kid? They used to throw that tennis ball off the side of the wall. Has 200 guys who were in manufacturing that you didn't even know were there. So if you pop in your zip code, you're going to find advisors that are in all those jobs and companies in that zip code that are just waiting for you to reach out to them. You know, unlike LinkedIn, which is phenomenal, as Mike and I both know, you should have a LinkedIn network, and obviously you're on board here, so you get it. But sometimes if you reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, the chance of them ever having a conversation with you is nil, right? Mm-hmm. You're the biggest proponent of make sure when you connect with somebody, you try to identify and talk about something that you have in common or something so that they will. But if you don't, the chance of them talking. AdvisorNet, you reach out to them, they're waiting for you to reach out, right? And you'll be shocked at who's there. I mean, you put in some zip codes, little do you know, the world is just like this, remote. Remote jobs.
I've seen senior partners at Big Four consulting firms and know that they've taken multiple 1 hour long, multiple informational interviews at their offices with people that just reached out.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, and you can actually direct message them from AdvisorNet, right?
You can direct message them from AdvisorNet. Then there's also jobs, Mike. In fact, I went on there today, and just before I came in, there were a bunch of new, and they're looking for people, same old story. How many guys are in the military driving trains? Probably not any. But G&W Railroad with Genesee and Wyoming, one of the largest railroad companies in the world, are dying to have men and women from the military sign up, and they'll train you to be a conductor and drive trains. You know, solid job, new career. And you don't have to drive a train forever. You work your way up through. But at least you start out, they'll train you to bring you on. And there's jobs like that all over the country. But there's also foreign jobs on there too. I saw a couple of, they're looking for logistics guys in Iraq. You know, who knows better than the military, some of these foreign jobs.
Yeah.
You know, you'll follow the money, right? If you could get a meaningful career, start out somewhere, you know, you're willing to chase it. But anyway, there's hundreds.
Do they need to be registered at ACP to use them?
It's all you have to do is go on AdvisorNet. It's a simple 2 seconds to sign up for AdvisorNet, and away you go. There's no cost. You hop right in there. You reach the hiring managers on those job postings, and those are jobs that they are looking for veterans. They feel that those are the best people for those jobs.
And then for the actual reaching out to the people through AdvisorNet, you can do that just by the quick registration as well.
As soon as you register on, you put your name. There's only a few questions that it asks you. Once you're in, and look, it's proprietary. Nobody's ever going to spam you. Nobody's ever going to, you know, infomercial you or anything else. It's all ACP. We watch it 24/7. Our staff looks out for ACP. So get in there. It's all our program. It's all our people. And there's a little message box. Boom. Hi, I'm Tim Cochran. Would you mind having a quick call, 5-10 minutes, to really talk about what the opportunities are in Albuquerque at, you know, Lockheed Martin?
Yeah. And
I'm telling you, they'll reach right back out to you. If I hear anything from advisors on there, they're like, Timmy, we don't get enough veterans reaching out to us. We'd love to talk to them.
Well, let's see if we can fix that. So I guess, you know, I'll take a few minutes. I'll just switch over to ACP AdvisorNet, and I'll walk them through how to apply, and also how to apply for ACP and how to apply for AdvisorNet. Is it two different applications? Oh, I think we lost him, and it may actually be.
Is it different? It's going to take you, when you go to ACP, which is the USA ACP -USA.org. That's where you apply for a one-on-one year-long experience with a mentor. At the same time, and your OA is also going to take you there when it comes. You can go up to AdvisorNet. It's in the right-hand corner. And same thing, ACP-AdvisorNet.org. And it'll take you right there. You fill out the quick app. It's nothing more than your email and your name, and away you go.
And if you've already applied for ACP, you don't need to reapply for AdvisorNet, right?
Absolutely not. I think you may have to, though, Mike. Don't quote me on that. But I think it's just a simple login, and anybody can log into AdvisorNet.
Perfect.
It's not like, oh, you have to be in one in order to be in the other.
Perfect. Well, Tim, I'm going to take a minute after we finish up here, and I'm going to walk people through it on the website. Any last words?
Mike,
that doesn't come out right.
I'm right. I'm here in the heart.
You're in New York City. You know, forget that. Anything else you want to add?
No, listen, I want to add, pray for America right now.
Yeah.
We come together. God bless. And if you serve this great nation, I would love the opportunity for you to have a mentor to help guide that process so that you wind up with meaningful employment. You know, it's just ideal to have somebody there for you. So to be honest, you know, Mike and I have been doing this now 3 years together, talking about this program. We get to see so many people's lives changed, right? It's just great. You're crazy not to take advantage of it. Jump in there. It's an easy process. I think and look, I love to say, come up to New York in a year if it doesn't work, and I'll do burpees till I pass out. Trust me, it's not going to take many. But that's how much I believe in this program and what it can do for you.
All right, well, before I have you do burpees and pass out, let me also say, because I've had a couple people say, you know, how did it work for you? And I had a couple of people say that it didn't work for them. And I said, well, why not? They're like, well, I didn't get the right mentor. And I said, well, did you tell your operations person that it wasn't the right mentor for you? And they're like, no. And I'm like, so hold on, stop. Like, you know, if you're not getting what you want or what you need, or if your advice or your plans change, let the person from ACP know that, hey, I want to go in a different direction. And they're not going to be like, nope, you're stuck with this person for 12 months. They're going to work with you to find somebody else, because ultimately you want to take care. So,
and you change gears, guys. I can't tell you how many mentors and proteges we concluded 6 months because the guy thought he wanted a marketing mentor, and after talking to a marketing guy, realized he's more qualified for sales, and so now he wants a sales mentor. that's great for us. As long as we know, we can change gears, and get you somebody. Look, at the end of this year, I want you to come back and say how terrific it is.
Yeah.
It's no good if you're not satisfied. This is a community service program, right? We're not a job hiring platform. We want this to work for you.
Yeah, but I just like to throw in my little dose of, hey, it's not this magic pill you take where you sign up, you get a mentor, and they say, here's your ticket to Goldman Sachs. You have to invest as that veteran, as that service member, as that military spouse. You have to put the effort in. You have to actually come prepared to ask questions. You have to actually work on the resume. Don't expect them to do it for you. But if you invest in the program and invest in the relationships, really, there's no better tool out there.
Yeah, as Sid always says, it's a 60-60 proposition. Everybody else, each guy can do a little bit more than they would normally do.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna tell Sid I said I love that. I'm gonna steal that for a little while. So that's coming in a post soon. So hey, Tim, thank you. Stay safe up there.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for everything you're doing for us. So many veterans and military spouses' lives are being changed by the efforts of you and the team. And we can't thank you enough. So stay in your house. Keep doing those burpees if you have to.
I might need them.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go over and show people, walk through the site in a second.
Great, Mike.
So we'll catch you soon. All right, everybody. Yeah. Everybody, here's the website, and I'm going to come up here. You can see here's the website, acp-usa.org. Real easy. Here's how you can apply. Literally, if you just put your email address in and click this block and send it, they will contact you and provide you the application to continue. But if you hit continue, you'll be able to go through the application process. Maybe takes 2 or 3 minutes. Now, if you want to go over, there's what Tim was saying about ACP AdvisorNet. If you click on ACP AdvisorNet, you can see right here, you can do all the different things. Here's a veteran. I'm looking for advice. Sign up as a veteran. You can fill out the information, and you'll literally be able to take advantage of the community. You can see right here, you can search through all the advisors. Here's the different fields. I mean, you see all the stars right here. It's fantastic. And you can literally direct message these people. See, boom, message. If I would have just signed up, you would have had it there. But you can see the tremendous amount of mentors out there that are all volunteering to help you out. So going back over here, just so you guys can see it, I realized I did not put it to the right one. acp-usa.org. Okay, everybody. Thank you, everybody, so much. Thank you so much for spending this evening with us. Hopefully you found something valuable. I'll tell you, Tim is an incredible mentor for me and so many others. And I recommend every service member sign up for American Corporate Partners, take advantage of Veterati, sign up for USO Pathfinder Scout, sign up for Onward to Opportunity, get that free certification, and they pay for the exam. Get that Hire Heroes USA transition mentor, take advantage of the new Centurion Military Alliance online curriculum. I mean, the resources are there, so take advantage of every single one of them and pick the one that works best for you. All right, so have a great evening and take care. Stay safe, everybody.